This is Hold the Door DFS at Fantasy Sports Insight. Today we are going to be doing our first edition of our DFS strategy, contest selection, bankroll management, all the things that we're going to try to get some videos out that are staple items for our channel that are going to help you become a better DFS player. So today my video is going to give you a massive edge in cash games if that's something that maybe you're struggling with to maintain profit over a long term. So I'm going to give you some hints into and some tips, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do on almost every single slate to become a profitable DFS player over a long period of time. So, and the first thing we're going to talk about, how we're going to lay it out here. I'm going to talk about two different ways that I track my data in DFS and other things. Then we're going to talk about using the DraftKings lobby and any other DFS platform. We will talk about the different types of cash games that you can get into and what the benefits of them are. We'll talk about the blocking list and how you potentially block and post. And hopefully at the end of this video, if you are able to give us a subscribe, like, share, and you can always revisit this video or shoot me a question on Twitter or Discord if you have questions about how my process works on every single slate. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. I will be up in the top right. Now, as I said before, I track my data in two different locations. And these are actually my actual numbers for 2020. So this DFS tracker data, I just use on a normal Google sheet that I am able to, I just basically have a month tab on the bottom. I think it's really important to track your data because you don't let things get away from you. You're trusting your process. You don't want to just like play something for fun, and if you're going to be a true grinder of DFS and try to make it profitable, you have to hold yourself accountable. So tracking your data is one really important way to do that. So I just have here on my main screen, you can see month by month. January was an awesome start. And then things have gone down a little bit, but then we had COVID in there. And then, May was my one down month. In June, grinded really hard, came out $28 ahead. And then in July has been really a good start so far. So one thing I want to show you, then I'm going to go into a month in particular. And let's just take a look at, say, the month that I made $28. Okay. So, and I really stick to the strategy that I'm going to show you here coming up on DraftKings. You see the swings. I mean, you see the plus, the minus, 611 was over $1,000 loss on the day. And even to the end, you had the ups and downs and the swings, but I kept track of the data every single day. So I knew where I was at. And you go back to January where it's just basically all pluses most of the day and really, profited really well. But this, again, gives me that kind of that overview of my data. It doesn't give me as much detail as what I'm going to show you next on Roto Tracker. But I do like using this, and I update it after every single slate pays out. Every single slate, not every day, just every slate. Every slate, I keep an updated track record of where I'm at. And it helps motivate me to continue to trust my process that I'm going to show you here in a second. So Roto Tracker is the other feature, and we have a partnership with them. You can reach out to us and we can get you some discounts and some free content at our site if you sign up to use their data. This is my lifetime results. And I don't know if this includes everything. I'm not really sure, but how it all goes into it. But I'm going to go to this year. And this data looks a little bit different than that because it doesn't include other platforms that I've used like Prize Picks, Monkey Knife Fight. It doesn't include bonuses. So if you want, I like to add my bonuses into my DFS tracker because it gives me a better idea at the end of the year what kind of profit I will be responsible for. So I'm going to go into graphs here at the top, and I'm going to select. I am going to go to general. And I'm going to go to category, and I'm going to go to head-to-head. So I'm going to add that to my data. So, and this is over my whole career as a DFS player, and my strategy has obviously changed since then. I did hit a huge $25,000 GPP when I was, back probably before this was even happening in an NFL, one of the first NFL million makers. But since then, I've been basically straight cash games head to head. And as you can see, this is around the time where I really started to, in the last couple of years, like when I really started to be more diligent about my strategy. I think during this time, I like to play a lot of head to head here too, but I was really more focused on just getting some action and not really worrying about who I was playing. So, and that'll be the big key in the next component of this is who I'm playing. So if I go to the head to head part on the top, you can actually sort, which is really cool. You can sort by average buy-in. You can go by your net profit. And I'm not in here to point out any certain players because iSlewfootU is a phenomenal player. I've really only played him 12 times, but I've won 8 out of 12. He has I've won the most money off of playing against him. But what I like to see is like some of these guys that I can target. I find Busted Nose in soccer slates and Russian Duck in soccer slates, and some of these that are more on a regular basis. As you see, I just beat Busted Nose on July 3rd. And I've beaten him at an 83% win rate, profiting almost $1,800 against him as an individual player. So I think you can go through here. You can also find the reverse. Salil, I've only played him 3 times a long time ago. Average buy-in looks like I played him in a $1,060 head-to-head every single time. And look at here. So pew pew pew. I'll tell you why I don't play him in a second. PSU fans, I'm 1-12 against him. I lost over $2,500 to him. Redcoat, same thing. Old T, Tabasso, Testosterone. So I mean, you'll see why, and that's why I adjust, and that's why I went to this strategy. So that's kind of just a quick overview of this. If you have other questions with Roto Tracker, I'm certainly willing to help you out. So let's move into DraftKings here. So what I'm going to show you here, the first thing is the different cash games in general. You'll see here on the left side. Head-to-head is obviously the one that I focus on most. But people wonder, like, they say, well, why don't you just do 50-50s or double ups? Okay, so here's my theory. I don't mind 50-50s because you are getting paid out 50% of the field. And the rake is less. Okay, so if you pay $5 to win 9, the rake is less than doing this $25 double up where you're paying 9% rake. Where if I go down, it doesn't give me the rake on this, but the rake would be less when it's not a double up because in this there's 22 people and only 10 people are paid out. So less than 50% of the field is paid out. Single entry double ups are better than multi-entry, but my issue is still with this. And soccer is always a great barometer for me because typically there's at least 10 players that I like to block per slate. And if there's a double up that is an 11-man double up, there's a good chance that 8 of them are those guys that I would have normally blocked. So in a double up, I don't want to have to beat 7 or 5 sharp players in order to double my money. I would rather play one player that I think is less than average or not very sharp, in my opinion, or just their experience isn't there. And you'll see the flaws in their builds when you start to do that. So that is my preference. My order of cash games would be head-to-head, double up, 50-50. Now, when do I consider 50-50s? I like the 4-mans. And what I do here, and this is an example here. So this one is $20, 50-50 for the soccer slate here in 3 hours. I'm going to click onto the players that are available for it. So Quagmire 12 is a player that plays really often in soccer. And I think he's a great player. Now we have one guy here that does not have a badge. So I think this is a case that you could make an argument to play this because you feel like you already have an advantage over one player that you would beat most times more than not. So then you're really just trying to beat one of these 2 guys in order to double your money. So that's where I look at a 50-50 being really viable is when I find players that I'll show you here in a second that I don't think are experienced DFS players that give you more of an edge on the field. So look for those no badge type of players. So when I talk about no badge, This is what the badges represent in DraftKings. If you are a beginner and you have no badge at all, or a casual player, you have not entered more than 50 contests. So if you see somebody with a no badge and they are posted somewhere, pick that up right away. There's a good chance they're making a mistake. They might leave non-starters in their lineup. That is the number one easiest way to win cash games, is finding guys with no badges. Now, does that mean it's an automatic win? Absolutely not. Here's another badge. They have 1 stripe. That means they've played 500 contests. 2 stripes, 1,000. The single bar across the bottom, they have a big win. When they you have more than 3 entries, pay out $1,000 or more, or win a total of 2,500. And then this is 500 entries plus a big win. And then this is just the full experience badge. So this is what you're going to see on majority of players that are experienced, and those are the ones that I try to avoid. So here's an example of a contest that I have today. This guy had no badge. And when I looked at his build, I think we're close right now. It's in the Real Madrid slate. They were a massive favorite, but he played a 3-3, so he went 3 on both sides, and then also used one of the underdog players in his captain role, what I would believe is a non-optimal build in cash games. And then here's another example. This is that 500 plus a big win. But again, something else that I look for in the lobby when I am looking through the head-to-head lobby. Okay, so the first thing to do is I like to look through the head-to-head lobby. Look early, look often. You know, I'm looking here, I click into here. Nope, both these guys have full badges. Not worth my time at this time. If it gets late enough in before lock and I see names that are not recognizable in sports that I've played for a long time, I will pick them up too, even if they don't, even if they do have a full badge. So I'm going to show you up here. If you're on the desktop, this is the next big part of this. You're going to click on your name. You're going to go down to account information. You're going to go down to preferences. Now, if you're watching this video and your name is one of these blocked lists, hats off to you. But this changes for me every single slate. For soccer, there's a core guys that I keep the same. For CSGO, there's a core guys I keep the same. But I check the big contest, the high stakes contest, see which players are playing that slate, and make sure that those 10 got my 10, the 10 most experienced players that I do not want to play are blocked on my block list here in the head-to-head settings. You can adjust this, but every time you make a change, you need to wait at least 10 minutes to make sure it goes in effect. There has been times that I've blocked somebody that I posted, and then they picked it up, and it's because the full 10 minutes didn't go into play, and DraftKings will not refund you for that. So update your block list. I'll do it for every sport that I play. Now, I will tell you that it is difficult to do in slates that are really popular. NASCAR, there's way more than 10 guys that I would want to block. NBA Classic, NFL Classic, MLB Classic. So those super popular slates, this strategy doesn't work as well. I really like niche. I like showdown. I like turbos. I like those different slates that I can find a casual player trying to just quickly build a lineup. So I have these guys blocked. So then what I would do next is I would go to the lobby, and I'm not going to actually post here because this is not an actual updated list for the next MLS slate. In MLS, like I have different guys that I blocked and I would block on EPL. So I would go to soccer, go to head-to-head. And now when I'd have my block list ready, that is when I personally would post a 215 and a 109. So when I post that, those guys that I blocked will not have an opportunity to pick up those matchups. So what would happen is I am hoping for somebody other than them to pick it up. For the chances that they are less experienced, they are not as good of a DFS player, they are more likely to make mistakes, and over time that I can beat the 8% or 6%, almost 7% rake that I pay in a 109 and a 215. And that's another thing. If your bankroll gets to the point where you can play a little bit higher stakes, the higher stakes, you can play, the less rake you are going to pay. So I think in general, this strategy is almost my only thing that I do majority of the time. So I think, and it's been really profitable for me this year and last year, and just kind of moving forward with this strategy. So I think that it is definitely something that you should look into if you want to become a better cash game player. I think double ups and 50-50s are fine as well. but I think there is more long-term profitability in playing head-to-head, because if you use my strategy, because you're beating one player, hopefully, that is of lesser skill, rather than competing against all the best players that are also playing that slate, because most of them are already entering every single double up and 50-50 contest. So hopefully this video gives you an idea and some ideas and some ways to maybe change your trajectory in your cash games. Feel free to reach out to me personally if you have questions about this. I can get you hooked up with a Roto Tracker account through us, and then there is some other benefits that you can get some bonus money at our website. So just hit the subscribe button. I want you to look out for some other videos like this. We will hopefully be getting some more staple bankroll management, GPP strategy type videos that will allow you to kind of come back and use as you need. So hopefully you enjoyed my look into my DFS world and how my process works on every single slate. Have a good one.